Standard 10 students, how is it going with you all? I think most of your syllabuses would be near completion. Today I'm going to begin with the Union Parliament in this module, and we are going to do two chapters together. For ICSE you have Union for Civics, which is for 20 marks. I have done the Judiciary, and I'm continuing, and I'm going to start with the Parliament in this module. Now, just like the Judiciary, I'm going to deal with the Parliament. You have two chapters on the Parliament. One is chapter 1, where you have the Union Parliament 1 and then Union Parliament 2. So the first part talks about the system of our government and mostly about the Lok Sabha, while the second chapter talks more about the Rajya Sabha. So, and a lot of the procedures and all are very similar. So as usual, I've decided कि मैं दोनों को साथ साथ में लेके चलूँगी, so that आपके लिए भी थोड़ा आसान हो जाए, and you don't have to keep flipping the pages and learning. Now, I want to tell you at the beginning of the module itself that I have made a number of notes for you all as usual. Excuse me, but these notes are these are for you to remember and to make your learning easier, because I have put it in point form. So even when you're learning and when you're writing it down, it's easier for you to do point form, as a result of which you will be able to recollect the points. But that does not mean that you do not read the textbook. The textbook is very important because that will give you a chance to elaborate on that particular point. Okay, so now we begin with the Union Parliament. First and foremost, what is the type of government that we have? The government that we have in India is a federal type of government. What do you mean by a federal type of government? That the distribution of power comes from the constitution. The constitution is the highest thing, and the distribution of power comes from there. So the constitution gives particular powers to the state government, particular powers to the central government. So there is an equal distribution of powers to the central and the state government, and nobody interferes with nobody unless some constitution provision has been overridden or has not been followed. Then the judiciary will also step in. Okay, so that is what we mean by a federal setup. So the first thing I want you to understand is that we in India, we are following a federal system of government where we have the state legislature and we have the Union Parliament also, and we run both of these together. Now, what is the need for such a federal setup? We need a federal setup because we are a country of 28 states. And it is a huge country. So we have 28 states and we have 8 union territories. When we have 8 union territories and 28 states, there has to be a central government, a central force which is equally strong. At the same time, the state government should not be under that central force. So even the states who are controlling themselves and their people, they have equal amount of power. Okay, that is the need for a federal system. So I need you all to open your textbooks. Of course, we have a beautiful picture of the Parliament right here, right in front of us. If you open your textbooks to the Union Legislature, Union Parliament, chapter 1. Okay. So we are going to start with that. And before I start with that, I'll give you a short note which I want you all to take down. Please pause the videos and take these notes because these are in short and it will help you to recollect everything. Okay, so let's first begin with these 2 points. I've put it in question form for you. If you could just read them. India has opted for a federal system of government with a strong unitary bias. What are the features of a federal system? Now that entire paragraph is given to you here. Please look at your textbook also. Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and the various constituent units of that country. So in our country we have states. Okay, in contrast to a federal government, a unitary government is one in which there is only one level of government, with the subunits being subordinate to the central government. That is what we call as a unitary system. Now, India is so unique. Our country is so unique that we are following both federal also and unitary also, because we have a very strong center. At the same time, the states have got equal amount of powers as far as their jurisdiction is concerned. So if I'm living in Maharashtra and I am going to the Mumbai High Court, then that is my jurisdiction. Mumbai State, Mumbai High Court, Maharashtra. If I'm in Gujarat, then it is Gujarat State, Ahmedabad, and that is where their High Court is. So Gujarat State, Ahmedabad, and their jurisdiction. So they are equally powerful. But we also have a center in Delhi which is extremely powerful, and it is this central government that controls everything. If the central government makes a mistake, or if the central government goes against the letter and spirit of the constitution, then ultimately the judiciary will rule, because it is the judiciary who interprets the entire law. Please remember this very clearly in your mind, whether you are asked a question or not. We are living in India, so we need to understand what sort of a government we are living with and who are the people that we are voting for. When you vote for the Lok Sabha and when you vote for the state legislature, you are voting for that particular party, and that party is going to rule over you. So you have to remember, you are all young people, you are all going to start voting very soon. So when you go for voting, remember what I have taught you, that we need to understand this. Okay? So what are the features of a federal system? I have given it to you in short, in point form. Shall we read it? You can then read up this paragraph at home. Okay? So we begin with what are the features of a federal system. In a federal system, all the administrative powers are divided between the central and the state governments. Both are supreme in their spheres according to the Constitution. Both get their authority from the Constitution, and their jurisdiction is specified in the Constitution. The fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be unilaterally changed. Means any concept which is given in the Constitution, you cannot unilaterally, the state cannot decide that I want to change it, so it will change it. No, it cannot do that. Okay, so the fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be unilaterally changed. Disputes between the governments at any level. So if there is a dispute between a state government and the central government, a dispute between the government at any levels are to be settled by the courts, or basically by the Supreme Court. The revenue sources of each level of government are clearly demarcated, and it gives them their financial autonomy, because that is the source by which the government earns its money. Okay, the taxes we are talking of, basically. So the revenue sources are different. You must have noticed, even when you go to restaurants and all, excuse me, when you get your restaurant bill, you have a CST and SST, a central government tax and a state government tax, and both are 2.5%. So the central government gets a particular amount of tax, and the state government also gets that, which is almost you. So both are earning. So you are giving revenue to both the people. Both the governments. Have you understood? Okay. Now, what is the need for a federal setup? 28 states and 8 union territories is what India is. 28 states and 8 union territories forms the large country of India. To maintain its unity and integrity is very, very essential. Further, no state finds it possible to break away from the Union of India. That is why we have to have a federal system where you give the state certain powers, but you don't allow it to break away from the union. You have to remain in India. Okay, India has various types of people. So to be saved from the separatist forces fighting for provincialism of the country, that is why we need a federal setup. We cannot allow people who have separatist ideas in their mind to. Hi, Standard 10. So let's continue with our Union Parliament that we were doing. And please don't be surprised at the change of the dress, because I've recorded this at two different times. As a result of which, my dress has changed. Okay, so we continue with the need of a federal setup is what I've already done with you. Just to remind you and to remind myself that India is a country of 28 states and 8 union territories, and therefore we need to have a federal setup. Then also because there are people in India who have separatist values, and we have to be able to fight those people who are fighting for provincialism. So we have to be able to fight against them. Therefore, we need a federal setup where the states also get a lot of power and the center also has a lot of power. Both are governed by the constitution, apart from which both are under the judiciary. The judiciary is always at the top, because if there is a dispute between the center and the state, between a state and a state, between the center and the state, and a state on one side, it is going to be the judiciary which reigns supreme. Okay, because they interpret the constitution. I've explained all this in detail in my judiciary modules. You all can go through them. Okay, so now we come to the non-federal or the unitary features. The Constitution of India has a non-federal feature which makes it not only federal in form but unitary in spirit. Therefore, some people say that we are unitary in spirit also. What are these things? The strong center, single constitution, flexibility of the constitution, single citizenship, unequal representation in the Rajya Sabha, and existence of union territories. Now we come to the first point. You have to look up at the notes. Okay, the first point is the 7th schedule of the Constitution specifies allocations of powers and functions between the Union and the states. The Union list gives exclusive powers to the Union government to legislate on the matters relating to the list. The state list gives exclusive powers to the state. And the concurrent list gives powers to both the people, to the state also and to the center also. So that is the way we have. For an example, you can say you can look up the concurrent list and all on Google, but I'll give you an example like education. Education appears in the concurrent list. So now in this concurrent list, the state is also free to make its own policies regarding the education of the people who are living in his or her state, in that particular state, and the center, because the center controls the entire nation. So the center also. So like Hindi is our national language. So Hindi has to be compulsory. Everybody has to learn Hindi. You should be learning because it is a national language. And then of course one language you need to learn for being able to communicate to the rest of the world. That is why I love the CISE board. I love ICSE for that reason, because English and Hindi are compulsory. After that you may take whatever language you want. You are free. We have got so many languages in the ICSE that you can take a foreign language, you can take an Indian language, you can do what you want. But Hindi and English are compulsory. That is what we follow here at the CISE board, and therefore I love this board. Okay, let's continue. Then no, don't get scared of the board. The board is not going to eat you up. The board is something very good, and it's a very student friendly board. And the board of CISE always ensures that the students have an all-round development, and that the students grow not only from the exam point of view, but you grow in your thinking capacity, how you think, what you do. All that is catered to just by setting the syllabus in such a way. I am a big fan of the ICSE and the CISE board because I studied in ICSE. Let's continue. So we begin with the strong center. I have explained to you the list. Now come to your textbook. Okay, we begin with a single constitution for the union and the states. You have only one constitution. You cannot have two constitutions. For example, mark. You know, when I say mark, you have to just mark a bracket. Now, why do I tell you to mark these things? For the simple reason that when you put in your marks, those brackets, or you underline, or whatever you all are doing, so when you're writing your answer, you know that this is the most important point that has to be written for that answer so that you get your complete marks. Okay. The states in India have not been given any right to make their own constitution. So we don't have a right, we have one constitution for everybody. Flexibility of the constitution. The Constitution of India is rather flexible. Okay, then next point. The parliament can amend most of the provisions of the constitution single-handedly, either by a simple majority or by a two-thirds majority. So the parliament can make changes to the constitution, which we call as the amendment, but no state on its own can make any change in the constitution. The constitution is the constitution. Then we come to single citizenship. The Indian constitution provides for a single citizenship of India, which is common to all the people of various states and union territories. So we are all Indians first, and then to whichever state or state you are staying, or whichever state you are born in, like whatever is your mother tongue. Like if somebody will ask you, if somebody asks me, I will say I'm a Gujarati. But then at the same time, I'll say I'm a Maharashtrian also, because I'm born and brought up in the state of Maharashtra. So we should learn how to identify ourselves. Apart from everything else, we are all Indians first. Being Indian is our individuality. That is our identity. After that, because your mother tongue is Gujarati and you speak Gujarati at home, so I would say I'm a Gujarati, because I speak Gujarati at home. But then at the same time, if I was born to a Punjabi father like I am, so I'll say I'm a Punjabi, because I was born to a Punjabi father. But then I'm born in the state of Maharashtra, so and I've lived over here, I've grown up over here, so then I'll say I'm a Maharashtrian. Whether I know Marathi or not, that's a secondary thing. But I know my mother tongue. I know Gujarati because my mom was a Gujarati. But I'm a Punjabi because my dad was a Punjabi. At the same time, I'm a Maharashtrian because I live in the state of Maharashtra. I was born in Maharashtra. So what your identity is, instead of getting involved in all this, the best thing I would advise the next generation is just to remember that we are Indians. And we live as Indians, we die as Indians. Okay? So I feel very strongly about this subject, so I keep talking about it. Okay, so we have a single citizenship. The Indian Constitution provides for a single citizenship of the India, which is common to all the people of the various states and the union territories. So now what is the representation in the Rajya Sabha? Okay, now first thing, our constitution does not accord equal representation to all the states. It accords representation to the various states in the Rajya Sabha on the basis of their population. So what are they trying to tell you? That if the state is large, if it is a huge state with a wide population, then what happens is that you get more representation in the Rajya Sabha. Why do you get more representation in the Rajya Sabha? Because you have a larger population, isn't it? If you have a smaller population, you may just have one or two people. If you have a larger population, you have more people, okay, who will represent you. So, and then of course there are nominated members. The Rajya Sabha has 12 members nominated by the President from among persons who are specialized in the field of art, literature, science and social services. This is a clear departure from the federal principle. That is why we say that we are also, that India is unique. Like I've told you earlier, India is unique because it has federal features also and it has non-federal features also. I think we are a unique country in every way. Okay, so we have both the things. So the nomination is it. Now we come to existence of the union territories. Another feature which is a clear pointer to the unitary character of the Indian Constitution. How do you say it is unitary in character? Because it is the existence of administrative units known as the union territories. These units are directly governed by the central government and do not enjoy any independent powers or autonomy. So they are controlled, the union territory is under the control of the central government. So they have, so that is again another feature of which tells us that we are unitary also in features, because a center is strong. A strong center itself is a non-federal part. At the same time, we are federal also. So we have both these things. You've got to remember this. Huh? We have federal points, features also, and we have non-federal features also. Non-federal features are also called as the unitary features. So whatever question is asked to you, you should be able to understand. Now we come to the Union Parliament, and for that I have made a chart for you from a different type on my own, because I thought this would be more helpful. If you look at your textbook, there is already one chart which is given to you, but instead of that chart, I would prefer to explain it with the help of this diagram which I have drawn. My flow chart is a little more easier for me to explain, so I'll explain you with that. Okay, you can take a, oh my, okay, can you see it? Yes. So that was the first page, and now I come to the second page. Okay, so these two pages you need to do with me, and of course with the textbook. First we'll understand what this is. The Union Parliament, or the government of the Union. It is called by the name. So who is the head of the Union Parliament? We have the President. After the President, we have the Executive and we have the Legislature. So we have two people. One is the Council of Ministers and the Legislature is the Parliament. Did you understand? The President is at the head of the government. That has got two parts. The Executive, and we also have the Legislature. These two people are there. Two things are there. Executive is known as the Council of Ministers and the Legislature is known as the Parliament. So if you have the Executive and the Legislature, what happens to the Judiciary? The Judiciary is the third and most important part of the democracy, because without the Judiciary there will be no democracy. It is the judiciary who will interpret the constitution. It is the judiciary who ensures that even the makers of law, that is the legislature, the parliament, remembers to stay within the limits of the letter and spirit of the constitution. And ultimately the judiciary is a people who will decide, because they are the legal eagles. They are the people who interpret the constitution in the right spirit. Okay, so please remember that, and I feel very strongly about this, so I say it very strongly. Okay, so now we come to the parliament, that is the legislature. The legislature or the parliament has got two parts. One is the Rajya Sabha and one is the Lok Sabha. The Rajya Sabha is the Council of States and the Lok Sabha is the House of the People. So the Council of States consists of members nominated by the President and the representatives of the states and union territories. The Lok Sabha is the House of the People, which consists of the representative of the states and the representatives of the union territories. So the Rajya Sabha is also known as a Council of States. The Lok Sabha is also known as a House of the People. And the Rajya Sabha is also known as the upper house. Okay, if you call it about the house, it is known as the upper house. Now what does the Rajya Sabha have? The Rajya Sabha has members which are nominated by the president and the representatives, and I think it's very clear. Now we come to the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha, what is the main difference in these two? The Lok Sabha members are directly elected by the people. It is the people who elect these Lok Sabha member representatives. So we elect. That's what I was telling you. You are going to vote. So we are going to vote as citizens for the Lok Sabha. The term of the Lok Sabha is 5 years. If an emergency is proclaimed, the period may be extended by the parliament 1 year at a time. So if there is an emergency declared in the nation, like it was earlier, you all can check up on all that if you are interested, but there was an emergency declared in our country, and at that time what happens, the Lok Sabha, there are no fresh elections, even if 5 years get over, it is just an extended, the Lok Sabha is just extended for 1 more year. And the Lok Sabha can be dissolved. These are all the features of the Lok Sabha. First one is direct election, then the term, then we come that it can be dissolved earlier by the president on the advice of the prime minister. If for some reason the prime minister says that this Lok Sabha needs to be dissolved and he doesn't do it at his whims and fancies, because he is the prime minister, so he will tell the president that please dissolve the Lok Sabha, then the Lok Sabha will be dissolved. Then the Lok Sabha comprises of not more than 550 members, 530 representing the states. So in the Lok Sabha, we have 550 members. 530 represent the states and 20 represent the union territories. Is that clear? 530 for the states, 20 for the union territories. Then the number of members elected from any state is in proportion to the population of that state. Okay, so how many people are you going to elect for to the Lok Sabha? It is not just that even a small state, especially in the northeast, we have the small states of Meghalaya and all those small states over there, the 7 sisters which you have done in your geography. So those are the small states. So it is not that they will send 10 people and a huge state like Uttar Pradesh will also send 10 people. No, it's not that way. If Uttar Pradesh is a large state with a large population, so then Uttar Pradesh gets more representation in the Lok Sabha. Like I've given you an example. That is the meaning of saying that the members are elected in proportion to the population. Okay, that is what it means, that in proportion to the population you have them, and therefore Uttar Pradesh sends 80 members to the Lok Sabha. This is just for added knowledge. Okay, then we come to the, I've given you this, yes, the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha is the speaker. The one who controls the proceedings of the Lok Sabha is called as the speaker. Okay, and this speaker currently is Shri Om Birla. Okay, Om Birla is a current speaker of our Lok Sabha. Then there is a deputy speaker who is elected, and he performs the duties if the speaker is absent. So for some reason, if the speaker is not present at a particular time, then the deputy speaker will perform his duties. Now we come to the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha is called as either the upper house or the Council of States. Like I've given it to you over here, Council of States, Rajya Sabha. Same way, the Rajya Sabha is called either as the upper house or the Council of States. It comprises of the members who are elected and nominated. So Rajya Sabha has elected members and nominated members, and the total number of people in the Rajya Sabha are 250. Whereas in the Lok Sabha, how much did we see? Exactly double, I think. What did we see in the Lok Sabha? I don't remember, so I have to check. 550. So in the Lok Sabha there are 550, and over here there are, in the Rajya Sabha we have 250. Now this total number of 250, from that you have elected members and you have nominated members. Nominated members are 12 in number. So these people are nominated by the president. Okay, see, I've written it over here. I've explained this to you earlier. We'll just read it, children. Is that okay? Yep. So, the Rajya Sabha is called as either as the upper house or the Council of States. It comprises of the members who are elected and nominated. The total number is 250. The elected members are 238, and the seats are allocated to the states and the union territories as per their population. Now here also Uttar Pradesh gets a larger representation because it's a huge state. So Uttar Pradesh has 31 members as representation in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, and 80 in the Lok Sabha. So nominated members are 12 who the president appoints, who have a special knowledge or practical experience in the fields of literature, science, art and social sciences. These are 12 in number. Now who is the presiding officer of the Rajya Sabha? Now see, the Vice President of India. We have a president, we have a vice president. So the vice president of India is the ex officio chairman. Just by the virtue that you have been appointed as a vice president, you become the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And at the moment, our current chairman is C.P. Radhakrishnan. Okay, so Shri C.P. Radhakrishnan. Then we have the deputy chairman. The deputy chairman is elected by the members who perform all the duties. It is out of decency and respect that we add the word Shri in front of people who are sitting on such a high post. Therefore, even though I said Om Birla first, I immediately realized my mistake and I said Shri Om Birla, because you've got to respect him. So you either say Mr. Om Birla or you say Shri Om Birla. But that respect has to be shown. Similarly, you don't say C.P. Radhakrishnan only. You say Shri C.P. Radhakrishnan or Mr. C.P. Radhakrishnan, because that's a mark of respect. You don't call your teachers by name, isn't it? You either say Miss or Mrs. or Ma'am. That is the way we should be trained, and that is the way we should conduct ourselves, learning to respect people who are in a higher position than us and people who are even age-wise, who are elder to us. After a particular years, we need to show them respect. That is our culture. That is the Indian culture. Okay. So the presiding officers I've told you. Now the term. What is the term of the Rajya Sabha? The term of the Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. That means that the Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved. You cannot dissolve the Rajya Sabha. Like how after every 5 years, the entire Lok Sabha is dissolved and then a new Lok Sabha comes. So in a Rajya Sabha, that does not happen. The Rajya Sabha term any member who is elected in the Rajya Sabha, he will stay for an amount of 6 years. And why is the 6 years given to that person? Because you divide the members of the Rajya Sabha into 3 parts: 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. Say for example X, Y, and Z. Okay, so if you have X, Y, Z as you are dividing them. Okay, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So what happens is the first people, the X people who are appointed in a particular year, they will continue till 6 years. And then they will retire. So by that time so the X has gone and the X has retired, but by that time Y has come in its place, and so Y will continue to be there. So the Rajya Sabha does not get absolutely dissolved. The Rajya Sabha continues, because by that time the new members will come in. You understood? So what happens is there is no complete dissolution. It's like a chakra, it's like a circle, it keeps going on and on. Okay, if you are re-elected to the member of a Rajya Sabha, you are re-elected. So you don't go, you continue. Is that clear to you all? That is why we call it as a permanent house. Okay, so we have done from your textbook. If you would like to see what are the things we have covered today, I have covered with you in the Union Parliament, in the Lok Sabha, I have covered with you the term, the composition, and the speaker, the presiding officer. Where is it given? It's given. The presiding officer, that we have covered, that the speaker. Then in the Rajya Sabha, I have covered with you composition, that is the elected members, nominated members, and the presiding officers, and the term. So we have covered both of these simultaneously so that you can learn it quickly and easier. Okay. Now in the next lecture, we will continue with the qualifications and all that is given in your book. So please remember that whenever you attend a lecture at whatever time you want and whenever you sit with your textbook and you have my previous notes ready with you so that you can refer to both simultaneously and it becomes easier for you to learn. So with that, I come to an end of this module, and see you all again in my next module of the Parliament, where I am doing both the chapters together, chapter 1 and chapter 2 simultaneously, so that you are able to understand. Okay, bye everyone, see you.